Hegseth to deploy the U.S. military to Portland, Oregon. This is the latest illegal attempt to normalize the use of the military in U.S. cities. He authorized the military to use, quote, full force. This is authoritarianism. This is fascism. The U.S. military is not a law enforcement force, and all federalized service members must abide by the Posse Comitatus Act. All members of the United States military must disobey illegal orders. I was just following orders is not a valid defense against war crimes. Grow a spine and stand up for your fellow Americans. Otherwise, you are complicit in this fascist takeover.
So this captain here, and people are like, 13-year captain. Hey, he could have been prior E. I retired as a captain after 21 years. Everybody's looking at that, but I had all my enlisted time, and that's just where I graded out. So some people, let's not sit there and belittle his rank, captain. It's an important rank, but he is so far gone when it comes to his ideology that he's going to end up, if young troops start following this guy's lead, they're going to be in a really bad spot. What do we have to learn to realize that, continuing to call certain groups of people fascists, Nazis, whatever it is that you want to, whatever word it is that you want to use, when are we going to realize that that's actually inciting a riot? How many times do we have to do that? And we're supposed to sit there, sticks and stones may break my bones, names will never hurt me. It's completely changed in 2025. It's the thought police. And they are moving and grooving. So the first point I want to say here is that the right is not a fascist movement. We're not fascists at all. And those on the left who continue to use that are just showing their own hand. They're showing their own side, how corrupt and void of real ideas they really are. I mean, you hear it with Clay and I going back and forth. We can have disagreements on stuff, but you do not want to get into a situation where you are now potentially an elected congressman stating all these things, talking about war crimes and fascism. It's not what this country is. It's not what we were built upon. I know right now that there are lots of people who think that we are descending into hell, and that might be true. But the truth of the matter is the only reason we're going down is because we don't remember where we were and who we are. We don't remember that at all. And it's to the point to where our kids don't even know their own history. Is it true that U.S. military personnel cannot deploy against U.S. citizens? Yes, that's true. But that doesn't mean we can't deploy to go protect property. Very big difference. And again, you will see the left try to make a big scene out of this and try to make it into something that it's not. You'll see the right try to defend it. And the truth is in the middle, is that Portland is just completely out of control. We have friends in Portland, and they say it is not the same place it was 5 years ago. And again, it's our big cities that are having the problems. Small town America does not have nearly the same type of problem. I believe that we'll see more Captain Dylan Blahas out there. You will see more people calling for our young troops, sailor, soldier, airman, marine, coast guardsmen, and guardians, to violate orders. That's not a good idea, especially with everything that's happening tomorrow. My wife and I were talking about, Andy, how often does something like this happen where they recall all the admirals and generals? And I genuinely cannot think of a time where we've had something like that. Do I think it's going to be every single general and admiral? No, there's going to have, the the carrier air group commanders are going to be out there. They're going to leave enough leadership in place to do what needs to be done. But I am interested to hear what's going to happen with the General Officer Corps. I was just a company grade officer, so that's the bottom 3 officers. Then you have your field grade officers, which are your majors, lieutenant colonels, or lieutenant commanders, and captains, depending on which service you're in. And I can truly say that we've never had it to where the Secretary of War, then Secretary of Defense, just called everybody in and said, "Hold up, something's not right." Think about this. When Charlie was assassinated, all those U.S. service members who were cheering political assassination, they took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States, and they can't see the incongruency in that. We have completely lost the plot, starting from birth and educating our kids up through the age of 18 to where they can make decisions in life that are actually relevant and positive in nature. When I'm sitting there with my daughter and watching all of her friends and the things they do, the things they talk about, I don't sit there and eavesdrop, but they do it. Hey, Mr. Andrew, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And we'll have meaningful conversations, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this young lady here has never really understood of having a life without an iPhone in front of her, and something as simple as gardening is terrifying. It shouldn't be that way, but that's how it is. We talk about the TikTok takeover, the Instagram takeover, whatever. We're at a point to where where reality is being blurred. And I'm just not talking about the normal AI stuff. We're talking about where reality is being blurred for these kids to where we're getting people like Captain Dylan Blaha saying things that in reality do not work. There isn't my truth, there isn't your truth, it's just the truth. We are in a place, and if this is, with Captain Dylan Blaha, if this is what's happening inside the active duty army, imagine how many more think like this, but do not act like this. I knew when I was in Afghanistan, I had to work for somebody who thought Pat Tillman uh, was not a great American, who was not a hero. They thought he was something else. And I can remember arguing about this, and once the argument was done, I was reminded that he was a major and I was a captain, and I saluted smartly, and we never talked about it again. That was the end of it. But we're at the point to where we're having people inside our military who don't agree with what the military's mission is, and we have people outside the military, and we've always had people outside the military who don't like anything that the military is doing. I get that. But our sense of patriotism, our not just our love for the Constitution, but our understanding of the Constitution is completely screwed up. You can go on to any social media platform and you can try to break down any type of idea you want to have. You will get the points and the counterpoints for it. And what it really comes down to is not necessarily the Constitution or the United States of America. It's just, how do you feel? Do you feel that the Constitution is good? Do you feel that the Second Amendment is really that important? How do you feel about the Fifth Amendment? Search your feelings. Don't want any of that. And Clay was talking about this new gun group coming up that's been around for a while. That makes me nervous because you have to think about what's the goal. Is the goal for long-term change, or is it just to make an impact and cause all sorts of problems? I submit to you that what's happening around our nation, whether it be public speaking events on campus, churches getting shot up, burned to the ground, I genuinely believe we are in like the very beginnings of a low intensity civil war. By low intensity, I mean 1 or 2 things happen in a day. It's really out there, and it's frightening to me, especially when I see everything coming from our active duty side of the house. Absolute hot garbage. Seriously, if you're thinking about this, go talk to your shirt, go talk to one of your buddies, and do not take that dishonorable discharge or that bad conduct discharge. You don't want that. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
Visit nomoreroofstains.com today. Whether new construction or remodeling, Stephen Arrington and his team at Elite Custom Construction can design and build your dream kitchen and cabinets, inside and outside. Using high-quality products, Elite Custom Construction specializes in cabinetry and intricate millwork. Established in 2011, licensed and insured, Elite Custom Construction is your solution to your next project. Call Stephen at 601-927-0552 or visit them online at elitecustomconstruction.net.
Have you noticed all these people acting like the sky is falling? All this tariff talk has folks real nervous, but at iGear Optical, we've got you covered. Our prices remain solid on all our quality products, while all other shops are raising prices. We are not. Come get a great pair of eyeglasses, computer glasses, or sunglasses that fit you, your lifestyle, and your budget every day at iGear Optical, 2630 Highway 80 East in Pearl, and on the web at iGearOptical.com.
Hi, this is Lee Atkins of Home Care Plus in Ridgeland. We are a proud carrier of Abena Premium Incontinence products. Abena has the most absorbency available, making changes and leaks less likely. After 7 years as a seller, I can tell you these products are amazing and worth every penny to quality of life for patient and caregiver. And we ship all incontinence products as well. So please come see us at Home Care Plus in Ridgeland for all the incontinence needs of you or your family member. That's Home Care Plus in Ridgeland.
Where do you stand in the pro-life community? If you're passionate about protecting the sanctity of life from fertilization to natural death, please join us at Pro-Life Mississippi as we make a difference and save lives right here in our own state. Pro-Life Mississippi is a community of individuals dedicated to equipping others to value all human life, including the preborn, those with disabilities, and the elderly. Our mission is simple: to provide unwavering support, education, and advocacy for the preborn, their families, and other vulnerable children and adults. If you're just starting your pro-life journey or you have been an advocate of life for many years, Pro-Life Mississippi needs your voice and talents to save lives in Mississippi. Together, we can make a difference in building a stronger pro-life Mississippi. Learn more about us at prolifems.org. That's prolifems.org. Be part of the community that celebrates each and every human life.
Looking for the ultimate reset for your body and skin? At Core Wellness and Recovery, you'll find next-level services like cryotherapy, red light therapy, infrared sauna, body sculpting, and advanced facials. Whether you want to boost performance, recover faster, or just feel your best, Core Wellness and Recovery delivers real results with zero downtime. From muscle relief to radiant skin, this is self-care redefined. Come experience the future of wellness, Core Wellness and Recovery, just off Highland Colony in Ridgeland. Book now at corewellnessandrecovery.com.
Have you been injured through no fault of your own? Do you know your rights? Don Evans does. Do you really believe that the insurance company would disclose all information to you? Don Evans will make sure that you are fully informed. It costs nothing to discuss your case. From car wrecks to malpractice, Don Evans will make you and your family whole again. Don Evans won't ever charge unless he collects for you. Call Don for a free, no-obligation consultation at 601-969-2006.
And we are back here on the Andrew Gosser Show, right here on 103.9 WYAB. Texts are already coming in. Good friend of mine, field grade officer, active duty, Air Force. I shot him a text earlier last week, and literally just about 5 minutes ago, he texted while we were on the air, and he is seeing at his level some of this craziness that we're talking about with that captain. And without getting all the particulars, there are people who are trying to act out, and from just reading what he's saying in between the lines, that there is a lot of angst in the military right now. And I'm glad that we're getting back to focused on the war fighter ethos that has to be. I'm glad that we're getting our standards back. They're talking about just making one standard. I think that's great. I'm glad that we're getting our standards back. And make sure that standard is high. And if a guy can do it, that's great. If he can't, hey, thanks for trying. Adios. Same thing for a woman. She can make the standard great. If she can't, hey, thanks for trying. Adios. Thanks for trying. Same thing for a woman. We cannot get ourselves into a situation where we DEI the United States military. For me as a retiree, I know I'm only 53, and I've been out of the game for 14 years now. For me as a retiree, I know I'm only 53. It's hard for me to even comprehend some of the challenges that my friends who I served with are facing today. It's hard for me to even comprehend and how to navigate that. It's a shame when a military officer has to navigate not only militarily, not only for his career, but politically as well. It's a shame when a military it's not right. Navigate not only militarily, not only for his career, but politically as well. What's going to happen here when the military start getting deployed to other places to protect federal installations? What's going to happen? I'm not the legal scholar in that, but everything that I've talked to people about who are actually getting some of these types of orders, the JAG's not saying no, don't do it. There aren't even people who are I don't even think there's been one. Let me do a search here real quick. Conscientious objector. I don't even think there's been one. Let me do a search here. Yep. There's nothing even coming up in a search for that. So the bottom line is that with our military, with where we're going in this country, Clay talked about it during his show with the Culture Rot podcast as well. With where we're going in this country, our cultures are rapidly streaming towards each other, and there's going to be conflict. It's just where is that conflict going to be, and where are you going to be when that happens? I've been very adamant about this, but my job is not to get involved in any of that. My job is to make sure that my family and I are extricated from that and let the people who want to fight that. If you're going to take the fight to me in my house, well, then I'll make a different decision. But we cannot, for love everything that's right and holy, go down this mentality where we're letting these young kids just completely say, no, you know what? I'm joining the military now. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take a dishonorable. It's just sending the complete wrong message. But I think we've proven that enough. We have talked about England and all of the illegal immigration problems we're having there. They're trying to do something else now. And they're actually using all the illegal immigrants' votes to make this happen. And some of you may have heard of Agenda 2021. Well, this is Agenda 2030 for the UK. Dr. Renee Honderkamp talking about something called the BRIC card. And it's the UK's new mandatory digital ID. And she's claiming that this is about surveillance and control. How many of us have talked about that, not wanting a digital ID?
And she's claiming that this is about
Not wanting, I mean, the more and more we use the internet, the more and more digital we're going to become. But that digital ID is truly scary.
I mean, the more and more we use
The next step from here is digital money. Well, we've talked about that. Crypto is digital.
Is truly scary.
All linked to your digital ID.
Well, we've talked about that.
So you step out of line and say something you don't like, and they just cut off your digital money.
All linked to your digital ID. So
That's where we're going. And England is just now starting to see this. Step out of line, say something you don't like, they will switch off your money. No travel, no car, no spending, no life. You're a slave to that digital ID.
They will switch off your money. No travel, no car, no spending, no.
Do people not? And this is happening in England right now. Europe is ahead of us in that aspect. I think we have still too many people here on the right who realize how difficult and a bad situation that would be with a digital ID like that. But if we're not careful, we'll be right there. And that's not to say that it can't happen really quick.
A bad situation that would be with a digital ID like that. But if we're not careful,
England is completely churning in upon itself. So are we, though. Just like they're having all of the Islamic immigrants moving into England and changing their culture. They're having the crime attacks and everything. We have the same thing going on right here in Dearborn, Michigan. In Michigan in general, people say it's more than just Dearborn. I just hear Dearborn all the time because that's what trends on my X feed. That's what trends on my news feed.
I just hear Dearborn all the time because that's what trends on my X feed.
I'm not even sure how we get control of that back, other than finding all the ones who are there illegally.
I'm not even sure how we get control of that
and remove them. But then again, the whole concept of replacing the Constitution with Sharia law, like they're trying to do in Dearborn, that right there is a treasonous act. You're going against the Constitution of the United States. Well, the Christian faith doesn't do that. Well, we can continue to have that argument, but no one wants to have that argument online, at least. I've tried to have it a few times, and that's the whole problem with this is that we are trying to take this new technology that we have with the internet and the supercomputing, and we're trying to juxtapose that against our spiritual beliefs and what got us to this point. And there's real conflict there. It's pretty brutal. When we get back, I've got a couple more videos that I want to get through and talk about. And I'm going to make an audacious statement, and I want to see where this goes. Because if what I'm saying is right, then it's right for everybody. You know, it's like a truth claim. It's either right or it's not. And when I saw this come out, I was like, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity. So when we get back, we're going to listen to a famous congresswoman right here on the 103.9 WYAB Andrew Gossett Show. We'll be right back.
A famous congresswoman right here on the 103.9 WYAB Andrew Gossett Show. We'll be right back.
103.9 WYAB.
Fox News commentary.
A startling survey shows 50% of U.S. adults are getting financial support from their parents. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
If your cash is sitting in a savings account, it's at risk. Old school advice says save more, but today the strategy is broken. When inflation spikes, they print money or cut rates, your dollar shrinks. So do your savings. The solution? Own something real. Physical gold and silver. When the dollar drops, gold and silver prices rise. And with Noble Gold, owning gold is simple. Just visit noblegoldinvestments.com and chat with a specialist. The knowledge is free. The protection is priceless. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions.
Look, the economy has been hard on folks, and especially young adults, no doubt, but this startling report from savings.com is troublesome to say the least. A staggering 50% of children over 18 are getting some kind of financial support from their parents. Parents are now spending close to $1,500 a month on average to subsidize their adult children. That's a 3-year high. Parents are helping their grown kids pay for a variety of things, from their cell phone bills to groceries, insurance, and more. The report suggests it's more expensive to be a young adult these days.
Hey.
Millennials and Gen Zers lenders are
Hey, what's going on?
loans and high
Hi, Andrew. This is Leah. Enjoying your show as usual. I want you to help me out, sweetheart. I was listening to you and Clay this morning, and
Hey, we're about to come back from commercial break. You want to talk on the air?
no, I wanted to ask you a question about.
It's going to have to wait.
Text. No, can I call you? I want a text number for Clay and Kim Wade.
I'll try to get that hooked up. But I'm getting ready to come back on air, and I know you don't want.
Do you have my text number where you could text it to me? I think you do.
Just text me again.
Leah Vice.
Sounds good. I'm not trying to be short. I just have to get back to the radio.
Okay, all right, sweetheart. Talk to you later. Thank you. Bye bye.
Owner of Two Gun Tactical in Flowood and Ridgeland. I carry a gun every day, all the time. Last year in America, 2 million legal guns were pulled, and it stopped the threat. So I'm really wearing a firearm just to stop the threat. There's more likelihood of me just pulling it and not using it than there is using it. TwoGunTactical.com, TwoGunTactical.com.
Two Gun Tactical, the South's only country club.
When you want your pine trees to grow a little happier and a lot healthier, call on Holcomb Aerial Service. When your crops need dusting, think Holcomb Aerial Service. From the farm to your own pine forest, Holcomb Aerial Service will stimulate growth, eradicate pests, and preserve the value of your crops. Call Holcomb Aerial Service at 601-668-6200. That's 601-668-6200.
Picture owning a piece of land where your dreams can take root and flourish. This is Tom Smith from Tom Smith Land and Homes, Mississippi's premier land and home real estate resource. I want to help you find your own paradise where you can build the home that you've always wanted or just enjoy the great outdoors. Tom Smith Land and Homes can help you secure your own slice of heaven right here in Mississippi. Visit TomSmithLandandHomes.com to invest in you and your family's legacy for today and tomorrow.
Ladies, tired of running on empty, sleepless nights, mood swings, stubborn weight, skin that has lost its glow? It is not just getting older. It is your body begging for help. Hey, y'all, I'm Morgan at Women's Wellness in Mississippi. At Women's Wellness in Mississippi, we bring it all together. Hormone therapy, medical weight loss, and the latest, greatest aesthetic treatments like facials, lasers, Botox, and so much more. This is where wellness and beauty meet so that you can feel amazing inside and out. At Women's Wellness in Mississippi, the best version of you is waiting right around the corner.
Oh, yeah. We are back on the Andrew Gosser Show, 103.9 WYAB. Oh, yeah. Text number is 601-879-5060. The phone number is 601-879-0002. It's interesting how we've got this new, well, it's not a new gun club, right? The John Brown Gun Society that the left is putting out there. They're organizing, and listen to what Miss Jasmine Crockett has to say. It's about a minute and 22 seconds long, but I feel like we are at a point to where the more conversations we start having like this, it's going to push us closer to something that nobody wants to live through or see or have to deal with. We just don't.
Say that, but when we look at it, please tell me who is fostering this gun culture, right? I mean, the reality is that the average person on the left probably couldn't make a shot from 200 yards because they haven't been playing with us.
Well, that right there, it is completely stereotyping and profiling. Well, that right there. I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people who politically disagree with me on the left. They can make that shot. What makes you, Congresswoman Crockett, the arbiter on who can make a shot and who can't? What makes you, from your perch in Congress, Congresswoman Crockett, the arbiter on who can make a shot? You are. She's just. It's just going to go down from here.
Assault rifles since they were a little kid. Like, that is just the reality of how people on the left typically work. And if we believe that political violence is a problem in this country, if we believe that our children on campuses,
I don't believe that political violence is just a problem. I think violence is a problem. I don't care if it's political, spousal, vehicular, however you want to categorize it.
I don't care if it's political, spousal.
Violence is not a good thing.
Want to categorize it.
And yes, political violence is bad. Campus violence is bad. We can put in as many modifiers and adjectives as you want to do it. But in the end, it's still violence. Not good.
Just because they want to go out and have a day of free speech on campus may be subjected to this kind of violence, then maybe we need to start talking about legislation that will keep these types of weapons out of certain people's hands.
So let's just talk about this real quick here to make sure that we understand. The weapon that was used against Charlie would have not even fallen under a quote unquote assault rifle. I don't know one firearm in general that doesn't assault.
A quote unquote assault rifle. I don't know one.
You get hit with a 380
that doesn't assault.
Hornady critical defense round. You're going to think that you were assaulted.
You get hit with a 380 Hornady critical defense.
The left is so myopic, and they're so far down their own rabbit hole. They don't even see that the arguments that they're making are truly arguments against themselves and not against people who actually own and practice responsible firearm safety.
Against themselves and not against people who actually own.
This kid in Dallas who shot up the ICE agency. Again, was that an assault rifle? Everything that I saw said that it wasn't.
Again, was that an assault?
Again, they're coming after law-abiding people like you and I,
said that it wasn't,
who understand what the Second Amendment really means, understands what a well-regulated militia actually is,
who understand what the Second Amendment really means,
who practice daily our Second Amendment right. And you have people out there who are being violent. They are operating in a guerrilla militia, not a militia, a guerrilla tactics type of way. Dare I say it, terrorist?
Guerrilla militia, not a militia, a guerrilla.
You know, we want to send our kids off to go to college to get the college experience.
You know, we want to.
Well, if the college experience is going to just be the left fomenting hate on campus, well, I don't need my child to see that.
Is going to just be the left fomenting hate on campus. Well,
what is the college experience anymore?
Child to see that.
I've had it pitched to me like 3 or 4 times now, and I know I've talked about it on the line on the radio a little bit, but I am genuinely at the point where the college experience, if it's going to make my kid turn out like a reject, angry at society, unable to function, where he feels like he's got to play Call of Duty or World of Warcraft 8 hours a day,
unable to function,
where they're just more happy being stoned out of their mind and just going along to get along, scraping by in life. I don't want that.
They're just more happy being stoned out of their mind. And
I don't think any of you want that for your kids or your grandkids.
I don't want that.
Let's continue this.
Now, whether or not this gentleman would have qualified under any type of laws that many of the Democrats have proposed, I don't know. But the reality is that they typically want to say it's somebody with a mental health problem. Well,
why is it that people on the political left have a higher incidence rate of self-reporting mental illness?
Why is it that people on the political left have a higher incidence rate of self-reporting?
These are questions that social scientists should actually be going and looking after.
Why? These are.
I mean, you think about
be going and looking after
how Charlie Kirk lived his life. Didn't have any of those types of same problems.
I mean, you think about how
you look at
Charlie Kirk lived
how so many of us who weren't as well off as Charlie was, we don't have those same problems. Who thinks of going to shoot up an ICE facility? Who goes to think of having violence on a political campus?
Of going to shoot up an ICE facility. Who goes to think
and the biggest thing I can say to all of this is that the response you have seen through tens of thousands of new chapters, hundreds of thousands of new members at Turning Point USA, Turning Point Action and Turning Point Faith.
Of new chapters, hundreds of thousands of new members at Turning
People
Point
are
USA.
you're seeing by the
Action,
reaction that
Turning
people
Point Faith.
are not having the stomach for what the left is trying to do.
People are,
and there's so many of us who don't want to get involved in it. I get it. We just want to maintain our own status quo and be happy. But we're finding that we can't do that
want to maintain our own
because we continue to get subjected to things like this.
Well, maybe red flag laws would be helpful in those circumstances.
What is a red flag?
Because we continue to get subjected to things like this.
If I get ticked off at my neighbor and I'm like, you know what, I want to get at this guy, I'm going to go create a red flag. And all of a sudden now I make his life miserable.
I want to get at this guy. I'm going to go create a red flag.
What is that going to do?
I make his life miserable.
Is a red flag a speeding ticket? Is a red flag an argument with a spouse?
Is a red flag?
God forbid somebody get in an argument with their spouse.
Is a red flag an argument with a spouse?
Someone overhears something and like, oh, I'm worried, I'm concerned, I need to report.
Someone overhears something and like,
and then
I'm concerned, I need to report.
You don't even know where that goes from there, because we have reporting laws now. And people will sit there and make the initial report, they'll get everything fired up, and then they go to try to resolve the situation, and it just turns out to be a big, giant misunderstanding and a mess and a lot of anger. Because the person who had to go through all this stuff clearly was fine.
And a lot of anger.
Red flag laws, no.
The reality is that we are elected to, at a very minimum, try to do mitigation and try to make sure that
you're elected to enforce the laws and write the laws of the United States of America. You're sitting here trying to completely mold and sculpt society into some barbaric, crazy, dystopian world that you don't think is going to happen because you're in control, but in actuality, you're the reason that we're having the dystopian problem that we are.
That everyone, whether they are left, right, in the middle, or non-affiliated, can express their views without this idea that they may be subjected to violence, which a lot of it could actually be prevented.
Think about this. Who is it at the family get-togethers during Halloween, or not Halloween, but Thanksgiving, Christmas? Well, maybe you get together for Halloween. That's cool too, whatever. Not me, but hey, whatever. And who are the ones that are like going completely off the deep end? You are having people on the political left saying, do not go to Christmas with your parents or your family if they support Trump.
You are having people on the political left saying,
do not go to Thanksgiving.
With your parents.
We've seen the videos. We've seen it all. I go to mine. I'll sit there. I'll be happy.
Do not go to Thanksgiving.
I don't necessarily bring something up, but if they bring it up, well, then I'm certainly going to go down that rabbit hole.
I don't necessarily bring something up, but
the left has lost the plot so far. And the problem is that we on the right can't articulate why we believe a lot of the things that we believe in. And it's causing a struggle. It's not just a societal struggle or a physical struggle, but it's a spiritual struggle.
It's not just a societal
and it's going to continue to go down that road until something either so horrible, something so terrible happens, and we have to slug it out, which I'm telling you, that's not going to be a good day.
Something so terrible happens, and we have to slug it out.
Or we're going to spiritually figure this out.
Be a good day.
A whole lot of evangelism that has to happen. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. I will be right back.
A whole lot of evangelism that has to happen. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. I will be right back.
103.9 WYAB.
It's time to fall into savings at Mazda of Jackson. With ball games, road trips, and all the busyness, don't miss a thing. With 2.9% financing for 36 months on a new 2025 Mazda CX-5. Or get 2.9% financing for 63 months on the 2025 CX-90. 1-year maintenance is included on your new vehicle purchase. And take advantage of the pre-tariff inventory that's almost gone. Shop online at MazdaofJackson.com or visit Mazda of Jackson, I-55 Frontage Road in Jackson.
Business owners, tired of drowning in payroll, compliance, and back office headaches? P-Police has your back. P-Police can free you from the never-ending grind of employee administration, such as time and attendance, onboarding, background checks, even business insurance. While you focus on growing your business, P-Police handles the paperwork. Stop stressing and start succeeding. Partner with P-Police, locally based in Ridgeland. Visit ppolice.com and get back to business.
What are people saying about Tom's Fried Pies in Richland?
Tom's Fried Pies. And I made the mistake. I ordered one pie. I figured, you know what? I'll try Tex Mex. It was so good. Man, second go round, I ate the pecan pie. You will need a meat pie and a dessert one. Get both because they are off the hook.
I went to Tom's Fried Pies today, and I'm going back. I tried the taco one, really good. When I go back, I'll bring some home.
Tom'sFriedPies.com.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Cork and Door Company has been providing quality residential garage and commercial overhead door products to Mississippians for over 50 years. Cork and Door is a supplier of garage door parts and services such as LiftMaster, commercial and residential door operators, as well as Clopay, sectional commercial and residential doors, Asta, commercial sheet and rolling steel doors, and Cornell, rolling steel and shutters, with many in stock for the same-day pickup. Corkanddoor.com. That's Corkanddoor.com.
Our flag was still there. The official 250th celebration flag is available at a complete flag source on I-55 North in Jackson. It's just one way you can show your appreciation for the greatest country on earth. Flags for all occasions, international and state flags too. Flagpole construction available. You can check it out at CompleteFlags.com. A complete flag source, I-55 North in Jackson.
Vans Comics Cards and Games is your local sports cards and memorabilia store, plus Pokemon, board games, comics, and more. Get in the game, make history, and own it at Vans Comics Cards and Games, Pear Orchard Road in Ridgeland, and at vansccg.com. Better ingredients, better pizza with a better website. Papa John's and PapaJohns.com team up for the best experience. Save more with Papa Rewards and all the best deals. Order today and enjoy the new specials and Papa's pairings at PapaJohns.com and at locations throughout the metro.
Looking for farm fresh produce, high quality local beef, dairy, and desserts? Look no further than the Farm Store in Flora. We've got the sweetest, juiciest fruits and vibrant vegetables from Two Dog Farms, plus premium beef, all from right here in the community. Whether you're cooking up a feast or just grabbing a healthy snack, the Farm Store has got you covered. Freshness you can taste, prices you'll love. Find us on Facebook at The Farm Store by Two Dog Farm. Yazoo Valley Electric Power Association wants you to stay away from downed power lines. Downed power lines carry the risk of deadly electric shock, even if the broken wire is not sparking. If a wire is crossing a road or driveway, avoid the area and keep others away. If you see a downed power line, back away and call your utility company or 911. When you call, be prepared to provide the specific address.
Oh, yeah, we're back in the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. First hour is already in the can between military officers who are giving very poor advice and Congress ladies who are trying to legislate from the fields. What their feelings are, we've got a long way to go. But there's a lot of good stuff happening in this world. This weekend, I got to MC for our church service. It's always good. I don't get to do it as often as I used to. And it's a great thing because that just means more people are stepping up. But it was a fantastic weekend. Because it's one of those things where everybody always gets excited. You know, the kids go up. They all line up and they're getting ready to get baptized, and that's great, and we should cherish that and enjoy that. But not everybody finds their faith early in life. Sometimes we get like a 30-year-old, which is pretty exciting, or a 40-year-old. But this week, my brother in Christ, Shane, was baptized, and it was truly just such a great day. Shane's wife is the official program observer of the Andrew Gosser Show. She keeps me on track when I'm screwing stuff up. Grateful and thankful for that. And it's little stories like this that I want to share with you, the listening audience, because you might think that it's just so bad out there, that there's just no good news, and that there is just going to be a really bad day before it gets better. And that might be true. But what is it that you are actually focusing on? What is it that's your priority in life? For me, it's my faith and my family, in that order. And to sit there and watch my faith family grow, it's really special. And it's one of those things where I don't probably talk about it nearly as much as I should. So that was part of my weekend. The other part of my weekend was we got rid of some turkeys. Less gobblers at the BA farm. Gobblers going away. It's going to be kind of sad when we won't get rid of all of them, but a majority of them are going to go. But it's getting to that time too. Thanksgiving. Real turkey. In the next hour, we are going to talk about another Democrat congresswoman who is just completely beyond the pale. And I'm not even sure how I'm going to necessarily pull this one off yet. What she said was really quite inflammatory. And I'm just not sure if I want to quote her word for word and just change a thing or two to show just how racist and bigoted she really is. Or do I just lead off with that? Could I be taken out of context? Could they try to cancel me? I don't know. But I know in the next hour we're going to definitely talk about it, because if we don't stand up for our liberty and our free speech, we're going to be prisoners, and no one wants to be a prisoner. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be back in about 7.5 minutes. Take care. Be blessed.
This is fact check time. You know, the idea, we're going to be hawkish on crime. We're going to be hawkish on immigration. It's good for us. But in fact, not necessarily. What are we talking about here? All right, Trump deploying National Guards to cities in the United States of America. Look at this. Just 42% of Americans support that idea of sending troops into cities like Portland. What about the opposition? Look at this. It's the lion's share. 58% opposed, and we're talking about 64% of independents who are opposed. So if Donald Trump thinks that potentially sending in the National Guard into cities like Portland is a winning political issue, the polling says, you are wrong, Mr. President.
The most analogous situation is what happened in Los Angeles, correct? What happened to the numbers there after the president did that then?
Yeah, we've heard this music before, right? We've heard this song before. And what happened the last time that Trump sent National Guards into a Western city? Well, take a look at the change in Trump's net approval. Overall, it dropped 4 points. How about on immigration, which of course those protests were about? Look at that. It dropped by 7 points. So we have a history of Donald Trump sending the National Guard into a Western city. And what happened was there were clear political ramifications for the President of the United States, and they were not good ramifications. What happened was his overall approval rating dropped by 4 points, and his immigration approval, which had been his best issue up to that point, dropped by 7 points, went from net positive territory to net negative territory.
And in this case, he says he's doing it to protect ICE facilities, which brings us to the issue of ICE in general. What are opinions on this instance?
Yeah, so let's take a look at ICE approval. All right, ICE's net popularity rating. You know, in Trump's first term, it was at 0 points. Not too great, but not too bad either. But take a look now. Look at this. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that agency, look at that. Minus 14 points. Down it goes because of their actions during the second Trump term. In fact, the Pew Research Center polled 16 different agencies. ICE's net popularity rating was 15th out of 16. It was close to being the least popular of all. This bottom line is, John, the president may think this is a politically winning issue for him, but the numbers tell a very
of California. And this message is for Donald Trump directly. Donald, I'm coming for you. I haven't fed in many moons, and I yearn for blood. Thank you.
Yes, yes, you are. You are tuned in to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. It is the second hour. It is the 29th of September, 2025. That means it's Monday, which is a good thing. Look, we're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube, and we're streaming at WYAB.com. You can always listen to us over there. We appreciate that. But if you can't get the signal, always feel free to look us up online. You can follow me on X. My handle there is just Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. And look, if you want to be part of the show today, lots of people calling in during the breaks wanting to ask questions, but like, let's get on the air. Gotta get you on the air too. 601-879-0002. The text line is open. 601-879-5060. And look, this is how this program grows, is through the interaction of us together. You know, the job here is to equip the saints. Who are the saints? You are the saints. People of Mississippi. We've got lots going on. And the best way to do this is just say, Father God, help me, because here we go. So I've had this clip sent to me, and I wanted to sit there and do I play the clip first, or do I read the clip first? How do I make this work? And I think just the best way to do this is just to let Ilhan Omar speak for herself. And then once we get Ilhan out of the way, then I will go into my commentary. But it's important to understand that this woman is a sitting congresswoman, and she is on committees, and she is one of the 435 legislators in the United States House who has a vote. And this is what she's thinking.
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men. I would say.
So what do you think about that? Is that racist? Is it bigoted? Is it hateful? That is an elected congresswoman. This is the type of stuff that our kids are actively being subjected to. And this is a shout out to my friends on the left who I know listen to this. How would you feel if there were different words said there instead of Ilhan Omar? Our country should be more fearful of black men because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of black men. I think if I actually believed in that, I'd be gone. Let's do it another way. Our country should be more fearful of white Christian men because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white Christian men. Is that bigoted and racist now? Our country should be more fearful of Islamic men because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of Islamic men. Do I have your attention now?
Our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
I know someone will try to copy that and clip it and take it out of context. I plan to put the whole segment out there just so everybody can see. You know, they like clipping people, but this is what the left does. They sit there and make these statements, and you know what? It goes out to their followers, and then people don't actually see what they're saying. But if you look at what this woman is doing, how she's mocking the United States of America, some argue she shouldn't be here. Some say she married her brother to get into the country. I honestly don't talk about that because I haven't seen any of the evidence and it doesn't warrant my time. But if that comes to be true, well, let's blast her on out of here and send her back to Somalia. What's that say about our civilization, our culture right here in America, where we can have someone come out and just make a blatant statement like that? Everybody who knows me know I don't talk like that. I don't believe things like that. I truly don't care what the color of your skin is or whether you're a male or a female. There are only two genders, but there's an infinite amount of mental illness out there. That doesn't matter. What matters is what's on your heart. And we are seeing the left expose itself more and more and more. And when this was sent to me, I actually thought it was an AI. You know, before back in the day, we say, "Oh, was it photoshopped?" Well, photoshopped, man, that is so 2004. Now you got to watch out for the AI. And we have sitting Congress people who are actually trying to pit one group of Americans against another group of Americans. For the life of me, I don't see what benefit could come from having Elon Omar come out and start inciting and inflaming more racial tension in America. And it's not coming from the right. I am. This is not to say that there aren't people out on the right who have bad and nefarious intentions. We know that, and God forbid we have to ever come up against that day. But if we do, we will definitely correct that. Because I'm not standing for any of that. We need to get to a point to where people like this don't have a place to go out and speak this rhetoric. I want them to be able to have their ability to go out there and say what they want. And I don't think they should be censored like they censored all the conservatives back in 2018, 2019, 2020. Jimmy Kimmel already his ratings already fell back to earth. He had that big spike. And now he's gone back down to earth. But we cannot, there's no room for this. We can have a talk about culture and say, why is it that this group of people is having a problem? But to sit there and just make a blanket statement like this, nah. Whatever happened to judging people on the content of their character, not the color of their skin? I think that whole speech should be listened to very carefully because there's a lot more to it than that, and I get reminded of that. But in essence, all that any human wants doesn't matter your race, religion, creed, color, any of that. People want to be respected. And this woman coming out here and just saying, "Hey, be fearful of white men." We should be profiled. That's really difficult. We'll see what happens to Ilhan Omar. She's not going to lose her seat, or she's not going to lose her committees. They were thinking about taking those away from her, but Republicans did something that I kind of expected and I kind of approve of. Is that they didn't begat. You know, what they did to Marjorie Taylor Greene, taking away her committee's last session of Congress, absolutely despicable, diabolical. And we had the chance to almost do it here, but we didn't. Look, you know, the state of Minnesota which sent Miss Ilhan Omar to Washington, they have to fix their state, just like Illinois has got to fix their state. And if they don't, then they continue to get this terrible representation. And I know that there are good people in Minnesota actively working to try to get this all figured out. It's going to be a hot minute. She's not the only one. If you think about other members of the squad who were thinking just like Ilhan Omar was, they all lost their reelections. They are all booted out either by other Democrats or other Republican. But understand this, even if we did get rid of her, she's still out there, still spewing her rhetoric. We've truly had it so good for so long, even here in Mississippi, where people think that we don't have it good down here, but we know. We have it good. And the more that we start talking about the good stuff, and we don't have to highlight stuff like this, but then we'll be better off. But what I want to say is when we see stuff like this, we have to go after it academically and showing just how absolutely bigoted and racist her speech really was right there. It's absolutely terrible. Our country should be more fearful of white men because they are actually causing the most deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men. I mean, just get rid of white and put in any other modifier you want. And if you're all of a sudden offended by it, well, then that's a racist statement. That's a bigoted statement. I don't know if the goal is just to have these people just go so far to the left that just causes a complete anarchy in some of these places around the nation. It might be. It might not be. It might be one of those things where she's just finally gone off the reservation so far, and there's so many people on the left who no longer can believe what she's saying that they have a change of heart, much like what happened with Charlie Kirk. I could spend a lot of time talking about this because this is like the face of evil actually confronting America right now. And look, what you do with this information is going to have impact. What I do with it, what we do. There should be people going up and saying, you know what? We have a lot of differences here in the United States of America. We have a lot of differences here in Jackson, Mississippi. But whatever differences we may have, we both know that this ain't it. And the fact that this person can actually say this and think this and try to push this on society is it's scary as heck, but it just goes to show you that people do have quote unquote free speech in America. You can even have hate speech in America and it'll get promoted like this. Could you imagine if I would have come on Twitter in 2018 and instead of using the word white, use the word black or Islamic, I'd be canceled from now in memoriam. So why does she get away with it? You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Oh, yeah. It's the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Texters are getting fired up over this. Want to read this one right here. coming in for Miss Pam. This is the woman we gave asylum along with her family from Somalia. What such ingratitude. So wish we could send her back to Somalia. Yep. Definitely. It's one of those things where, look, if you don't like America and how we've raised ourselves up from the bootstraps through the grace of God, then please leave. Go make your country a better place. You know? But really what this is it's a racket where you get hooked up, you become a congressman, you know, you go to Congress broke and you leave a millionaire. I saw a slide the other day where they said 50% of Congress is now millionaires. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle it's on. People want to bring up certain characters over and over again. Pelosi, there's Republicans too. And Republicans that I like. MGT, look at her profitability. I'm not trying to cause any hate on MGT. I think she does a great job, but that's just an example. Term limits would be a way to help alleviate a lot of the corruption and graft that's going on inside the United States Senate and the United States House. People are asking about where did I get that from? You know, if you're not on X, I tell people this all the time. It's not the only source of news I get, but I do go to X a lot. And I check the trending and it knows my algorithm and what I'm looking for. But there's other things that I want to talk to about. One of this is the Soros DAs, the George Soros DAs. If you heard about this back in the mid 2000s or 2010s, 2016 in there, George Soros spent a lot of money, but honestly, it wasn't as much money as you think to get a lot of these prosecutors into office so that they could go ahead and say, this is what we're going to prosecute. This is what we're not going to prosecute. There are George Soros prosecutors out there that are not prosecuting people who are doing some pretty heinous stuff out in public, exposing themselves to kids, doing other just stuff we don't want to ever think about, but we know exists. And now Trump is coming back in and saying, you know, we need to look at how these people were funded and we need to get back to the funding source. And all of a sudden, everybody's getting really nervous and excitable. It's like what happened to LA. Do you remember LA was just being ripped apart? And then all of a sudden, Trump said, we're going to go figure out who's funding this. The lady from Walmart did a mea culpa. And the next thing you know, LA just quietly goes away. The LA riots. I think one of the more interesting parts of the whole LA riot thing was one day how it was all Mexican flags just tearing up LA. Yeah. The next day it was all American flags. We won't forget that. There is a lot of bad stuff going out there. We have people. Here's another congresswoman. And I just want you to try to envision this woman in your mind's eye and see what you think about this. It's 1 minute and 12 seconds long, but I do have something to say about it.
I want to be clear that 4 out of the 5 of you last year posted on your social media the words of Dr. King. And there are so few folks who actually have studied, who are clear on the theology of freedom of King. Very few of you have read and studied and have sat in Ebenezer Baptist Church. So I would ask you, you keep Dr. King's name out of your mouth. If you, like me and the many scholars who will be watching, studied King, you know that he and the mothers and the fathers of the civil rights movement and of the movement for emancipation not only would be struck by the conversations in this room, but would be shattered by the consequence of lies, of hatred, of abuse of this administration in the name of folks who worked to make this country more free. Children of Abraham, for real. I want to be clear for the young people that are listening today here in this audience, this conversation is not about an acronym. It's just not.
That was Democrat Representative Latifah Simon. And she's more worried about what she feels is the experts and the scholars who study. What about the experts and the scholars who studied that said the world was flat? Should we challenge them? What about the experts and scholars who told us that the COVID vaccination was safe and that we should get double and triple boosted? How did those experts and scholars turn out, Congresswoman? See, I completely disagree with the complete premise of her question of keeping Dr. Martin Luther King's name out of my mouth. I think the more that we talk about what Dr. King stood for, the good, the things that we disagree on, we should have these conversations. It shouldn't just be a day on the calendar where we go, oh, yay, Dr. Martin Luther King Day, hooray. No. We celebrate the man and the work that he did, who was shot. Again, political violence. I think there is a really good opportunity to look at the entire body of work of Dr. Martin Luther King and see all the things that he did lead. I mean, the trials and the tribulations that that man had to go through. My gosh. I don't think there's anybody listening who doesn't think that that guy went through some stuff. But if we're going to sit here and talk about the division and just like the venom that's coming out of one political side right now, it's not good. And there are many more congresswomen like Ilhan Omar, and there's a lot more congresswomen out there like Latifah Simon. I honestly had never heard of her before this one right here. This was in the House Oversight Committee, holds hearing about DEI programs. And you know what? This is what happens once DEI gets in and you got to rip it all out. It's going to be painful. We have to make hard decisions. And it looks like this Congresswoman Simon's going to be one of those decision makers there in that committee. I know it's probably not the type of hour you thought, but this is just kind of what plopped into my inbox over the weekend, and I was just like, I've got to talk about it. We've got to be able to have a meaningful dialogue and conversation about it, because if we don't, and we just allow this to stand, well, then we're going to be losing ground, number one, and number two, it makes everybody's argument sharper. Iron sharpens iron, but we knew that. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. I will be right back. Oh, yeah. We are back on the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We're rolling. We're rocking and rolling. You know, we talked about in the last segment, or maybe it was a segment before, about our trust in the science of the CDC with the vaccinations and the boosters. You know, and this was just something that was sent to me, and I agree with it. It's a meme. It says, so the CDC told y'all to social distance, mask up, and get 47 boosters. You obeyed without a peep. But the second they warn against Tylenol during pregnancy, and suddenly everyone's a scientist. It just goes to show you that Trump derangement syndrome is real, and that, quite frankly, Americanism is real. That is not just anti Trump or Trump derangement syndrome. That's Americans in general. Be truthful. Think about this. If you're told to go one way, in the off, they're trying to reroute traffic, and you got an officer trying to reroute you. You're naturally going to want to go the other way just because it's just what Americans are. Everybody, we're going to just live cozy here. No, we're going to go out west. That is something that's just inherently in us. And I want to make sure that we continue to point those things out every chance I get, to where I can use examples of the left backing out on stuff. And the same thing goes for them. And we have to be honest, when the right does something like that, we got to call that out too. But then again, I think that's why you all listen to the show, is because, we call balls and strikes here. And if something doesn't come out factually correct, I come back and correct it immediately. The Atlantic. I'm looking for this here. The Atlantic came out with a report, and I want to read it. It talks about how the left is becoming more and more violent. And what is happening is that even very prominent left-wing news organizations like The Atlantic are starting to come out and make these claims. And again, we've documented it here. There's 2 studies from Rutgers University, which completely put this on the left. It's not only visually what we see with our own eyes, but it's also academic. And we can have the experts and the scientists agree with what our eyes are saying. We have to really come up and start going after this stuff, because if we don't, we're going to be in trouble. But I did get 3 or 4 texts during the show today talk about Comey. So let's talk about Mr. Comey, James Comey here, and what he's looking at.
Maybe Comey will end up walking away from this, but this will still be expensive. It will be stressful. It could ruin Comey's life for a time. And it seems to be foreshadowing, if Comey's now, who could be next?
Right. I think that's the punishment. It's the punishment. James Comey has to have expensive lawyers now, and it'll take a lot of his time and emotional investment. Theoretically, his liberty will be at stake in this case, and that's what. Look, the Justice Department. A federal indictment is nothing to sneeze at.
This is MSNBC/MS Now/BS Always. Isn't it funny how they're worried about all the trials and tribulations James Comey's going to go through? What were they thinking about during January 6th with all those innocent people who got rolled up? They talk about all the lack of time they were going to have to spend with their families because they had to prepare for trial. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Andrew, this is Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, buddy. Hey, I'm just going to give you an opinion of why we're seeing all this Trump derangement syndrome and stuff for the past few years. We just witnessed what the United Nations did to President Trump and his wife with the escalator and the monitor and all that BS, and it's it was intentional. We know that from our heart.
Yep.
this new world order that they're trying to usher in, this has been going on for a long time. And we know that President Trump used to be a Democrat. He used to run and hang out with, Morning Joe and, Joe Biden. And he, Lord knows how many people he knew in the Democratic Party.
Yep.
But when he heard this calamity bringing in this new world order to take over the world and to usher this stuff in, I believe it's when Trump pulled away from this deal. And that's why they're angry and everything, because, he's like a backstabber to them. But all this stuff is relatable. It's in the Bible. It's in the book. We can go to Matthew 24. We know that Jesus told us not to be deceived. We got some stuff coming that we know is going to be coming, this prophecy. We got the abomination of desolation being ushered in here. What, with all this hate and record and, from people that are not even Americans, but yet they've been voted into office. This is all organized, predestined, and in my honest opinion, I mean, there's no way around it. We have to be prayed up. We have to pray for discernment. We have to stay in God's view and on that path, because you're right 100% when you say we got some hard times coming.
Brother,
because these days are getting closer and closer to the end times, brother.
Steve, like it says, the good will be looked at as bad. And it talks about flipping everything on its head. And right now that's where we're at. And I really appreciate your phone call. I do think it's a biblical worldview to see that something is not like it's normally been. And we do have some tough times ahead, and we're going to have to make some choices. Do we go down the route that our founding forefathers talked about? And we can talk about that, and I can lay it out specifically there. Or are we going to try to be our own masters and just figure it out as we go along? I think the further we get away from our founding forefathers, the more we're realizing that we're not where we need to be.
Let me remind some of your listeners out there of this statement. In 2012, when Barack Obama was president, the Democratic Party, they announced at the Democratic Convention that God was not in their foresight. They did not believe in God. So if you don't believe in God, that means you believe in the devil and you're worshiping the devil. So your battle right there, your spiritual battle is being pointed out right there. And that's a fact. And that's everybody stay prayed of, Andrew.
Yep.
Thanks for your show, buddy.
I appreciate you calling in, Brother Steve. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, buddy.
Yep. Yeah, remember the Democrats tried to take God out and they actually booed God? I have to go find that soundbite. That's not funny, but that's just actually what happened. And then during that, while Steve was talking, they did ask me about the George Soros backed state attorney who is not going after this. So I am retweeting that now, and we'll listen to what she had to say here real quick. Listen to this.
All things that are wrong are not illegal. And I'm not standing before you today telling you that what happened in that park was wrong. But I am standing before you today telling you that I trust the word of the attorney who was assigned to this case when he said, although those actions were wrong, he could not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they were illegal.
And what was that man doing? Something that he wasn't supposed to be doing in public, let alone in front of kids. It's just disgusting. Soros-backed state attorney Monique Worrell says that while a man was just inappropriately acting in front of a bunch of kids at a park was wrong. It was not illegal. So I guess public nudity, because I'm trying to be G-rated. It's just one of those things where If we can't admit that grown men doing things, sexual things in front of little kids is wrong, then what kind of society do we have? Is that even a society worth keeping? If we can't do something as simple as prosecute somebody for doing something stupid in front of kids. We are so far fallen right now, and it's like no matter which way we turn, it just keeps on getting worse and worse. I did post that on my X account because a couple of you all wanted the actual audio of it, and I accept that. Just like the Ilya Omar thing, I wanted to make sure that we bookended that. I think I talked about that the right way. We've got one segment left to go on the Andrew Gosser Show. It is Monday. We'll be right back after our last commercial break. Yeah. Tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. I appreciate each and every one of you who tuned in today to listen. It means a lot to me. And look, we're going to tackle the hard issues. And, we're going to say the things that need to be said, even though it's difficult. We're going to do so in a way that is constructive in nature, not to sit there necessarily inflame the fire at all of anybody who might disagree, but to show just how completely insane some of these people on the left really are. Now, obviously, the show is so hooked in to the current situation in Washington. We know that we're coming up against a deadline to keep the government funded. And one of the best congressmen out there to listen to is Tim Burchett of Tennessee. And I'm just going to let him give you his little update on this because I think it's relevant.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. We're on the road today. The usual suspects are talking about shutting the government down. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, Democrat leadership. And what do they want to shut it down for? Two reasons. One, they want to provide health care for illegals. And that government, we don't even provide health care for.
Didn't we already fight this battle once? That's why we elected Trump is to get rid of the health care for illegals. Also the schooling and the medical and just all the other stuff that goes into actually having to care for somebody who's here illegally. Now, if you're here legally, you genuinely have the right reasons to be here. I don't mind that, but we're not paying for all illegals. No.
For all Americans. Second is transgender surgery for minors and others. And y'all know what I think about that. I think it's demonic.
Congressman Burchett, I couldn't agree with you more. It is demonic. There's absolutely no reason that why are these kids all of a sudden having all of these issues? If we can't see that it's basically coming in the age of the internet, when people started getting these cell phones, and you can just watch how, enlightenment, we got a lot smarter, but we also got a lot stupider, if that is such a word. We became idiotic. Because all of a sudden we could go out there and we could find anything to support whatever our personal view was. And we've got to claw it back. We've got to get it back. And I'm not sure that we're actually going to see that anytime real soon. One of the people chatting in the online text said Mick Jagger wrote a song about it, Sympathy for the Devil, in the 60s, when he stated that every cop is a criminal, all the sinners are saints, this world is turning upside down. And it is. What is good anymore? I mean, I'm biblically based, and I'm going to be all right. But when you can go out onto college campuses and basically make a case for some of the stuff we're doing to our kids today, it's truly abusive. It's truly... It's not even anti-American. It's anti-human. And this is just getting kicked off. So if you think that you can just kind of skate your way by this and not pay attention to it, trust me, the culture is paying attention to you. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show. We'll be back in about 22 hours. Take care, everybody. Be blessed.